Imagine the ocean depth swallowing a marvel of human engineering. A steel giant, meant to strike fear into enemies, silently slips into the abyss, carrying men and secrets with it. This is not just a story of war, it's a story of courage, terror, and an unimaginable sacrifice beneath the waves. This is the tale of the USS Tang, the submarine that met its tragic fate not in the hands of an enemy, but through a twist of destiny. The year was 1944, and the Pacific theater of World War II was at its fiercest. The USS Tang, a Balao-class submarine, was one of the most feared vessels of the U.S. Navy. Its captain, Richard O'Kane, was a man whose courage and tactical genius had already made the Tang infamous among Japanese shipping lines. Every patrol the Tang undertook was a calculated strike, bringing destruction to enemy supply routes and capturing headlines back home. But beneath the heroic aura, danger lurked in every shadow, in every sonar ping, and in every torpedo launched. The story begins in the warm waters near the Philippines. The Tang was on its fifth war patrol, hunting for Japanese convoys. Its crew, over 80 men, were seasoned sailors, hardened by months of life underwater, in tight quarters, with the constant hum of engines above their heads and the ocean pressing from all sides. Life aboard a submarine is a delicate balance of tension and routine. Every crew member knew their role, every movement was measured, and yet, the unpredictability of war always left room for tragedy. On one fateful night, the Tang identified a Japanese convoy. Orders were crisp, calculated, and executed flawlessly. Torpedoes were launched with deadly precision, and the result was catastrophic for the enemy. The convoy sank, sending plumes of smoke and fire into the night sky. Victory, however, came at a subtle but dangerous cost. One torpedo, returning from the chaos, veered back toward the Tang itself. Panic is not an emotion that grips submariners easily. Training takes over. The crew rushed to take evasive action, but in the cold, steel-bound corridors, every second stretched into eternity. The torpedo struck. The explosion was catastrophic. The submarine lurched violently, metal groaning as the sea pressed against every wall. The familiar hum of machinery turned into a terrifying silence punctuated by alarms, shouts, and the distant rattle of objects thrown about. Inside, the crew faced a nightmare scenario. Water began seeping into compartments. Emergency procedures kicked in. Men fought to control flooding, to salvage what could be salvaged, and to keep the vessel from plunging irreversibly into the ocean floor. It was a race against time, a battle where every choice could mean life or death. Captain O'Kane, calm yet urgent, coordinated the efforts. His presence, a pillar of strength, was a source of hope amid chaos. Yet, the situation was spiraling beyond control. Submarines are masterpieces of engineering, but they are also fragile against the immense pressure of the deep sea. The Tang, once a hunter, now became prey to the very element it navigated. The story of the men aboard became a testament to human resilience. Desperate attempts were made to surface, to signal for help, and to prevent total catastrophe. Every man knew the odds, yet no one gave up. Courage was measured not in the absence of fear, but in the decision to act despite it. As hours passed, the Tang's position was precarious. Flooding was controlled temporarily, but the threat of another malfunction loomed. Every creak of metal, every rattle of instruments, sounded like a harbinger of doom. Some of the men whispered prayers. Others focused on tasks, letting discipline override panic. Outside, the ocean remained indifferent, dark, and endless. The men were trapped in a liminal space between life and death, where one mistake could end everything. The Tang had been a symbol of American ingenuity and naval supremacy. Its crew had carried out missions that altered the course of engagements, sinking dozens of enemy vessels. But now, all the glory seemed distant compared to the immediate struggle for survival. The human spirit, tested in such extreme conditions, showed both its fragility and its strength. It was during these moments that extraordinary acts of heroism unfolded. Sailors, soaked and exhausted, worked tirelessly to patch leaks, manage air pressure, and ensure engines could still function. The teamwork and bravery were almost cinematic, a stark contrast to the mechanical coldness of the steel hull surrounding them. Each life aboard became a story of determination against the overwhelming force of nature. But fate, relentless and indifferent, had plans that no man could alter. A series of miscalculations and mechanical failures culminated in the unthinkable. The Tang, instead of escaping, suffered a series of internal explosions. The exact mechanics remain debated among historians, but the result was devastating. The submarine, once a vessel of dominance, now became a tomb. Captain O'Kane and several crew members miraculously survived, but many did not. The ocean claimed them, silent and vast, leaving only the memory of their sacrifice. Rescue efforts were complicated, as the Tang had sunk in hostile waters. Survival was possible for only a few, who were captured as prisoners of war, enduring yet another chapter of suffering. The Tang's story is not just about a tragic loss. It is about bravery, loyalty, and the harsh realities of naval warfare. The men who served aboard understood the risks, yet they faced them with unwavering resolve. Their story became legendary, a symbol of courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The ocean can be merciless, and yet, it also reveals the resilience of those who dare to navigate its depths. The survivors of the USS Tang emerged from the unimaginable darkness not only physically battered but emotionally scarred, carrying memories that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The submarine, once a weapon of precision, had become a symbol of both human ingenuity and the harsh, unforgiving hand of fate. Captain Richard O'Kane, the legendary commander, had survived against all odds. His leadership had been the beacon that kept the crew organized during the catastrophic sinking. But survival was only the beginning. The men who escaped the steel confines of the Tang were thrust into a new challenge: captivity. Captured by Japanese forces, they faced conditions even more terrifying than the depths they had just survived. POW camps in World War II were notorious for their brutal conditions. Disease, starvation, and relentless psychological pressure awaited the Tang survivors. Men who had endured flooding compartments, deafening explosions, and the suffocating tension of life under the ocean now confronted the merciless discipline of their captors. Yet, remarkably, they held on. Their training, their discipline, and their shared experience of survival under impossible circumstances became their shield against despair. In these camps, stories of camaraderie and sacrifice continued. Sailors who had survived the torpedo blast and sinking worked to protect each other. They shared meager rations, comforted the sick, and maintained morale in the face of near-certain death. The human spirit, tested in the steel pressure of a submarine, was now tested in the psychological warfare of captivity. And while the Tang itself rested on the ocean floor, its legacy was alive in every act of bravery, kindness, and resilience among its crew. Back on the ocean surface, the Navy mourned. The loss of the Tang was a blow not only tactically but emotionally. For months, her absence was a silent reminder of the risks every sailor faced. Families waited with bated breath, not knowing the fate of their loved ones. Yet, news of Captain O'Kane's leadership and the crew's heroics began to spread, turning tragedy into a tale of courage. Reports would later detail the incredible feats carried out during those final moments: flooding contained, torpedoes managed, and lives saved against impossible odds. The sinking of the Tang also highlighted a painful truth about warfare: technology, no matter how advanced, is never infallible. Submarines, though marvels of engineering, were vulnerable to both external threats and internal mishaps. The very weapons the Tang used to defeat enemies, the torpedoes it launched, became instruments of its own near destruction. The irony was stark, but it also became a crucial lesson for naval tactics, training, and submarine design in the years that followed. Captain O'Kane, despite enduring the horrors of sinking and captivity, later documented every detail meticulously. His memoirs, accounts from fellow survivors, and naval records painted a vivid picture of the Tang's final patrol. They revealed not just the technical aspects of the tragedy but the emotional landscape of men confronting death together. Fear, courage, despair, and hope intertwined in a narrative that would inspire generations of sailors and historians alike. In the decades that followed, the Tang became legendary. Divers explored the wreck, historians documented its missions, and naval academies used its story as a case study in leadership, strategy, and resilience. The submarine's final patrol, while tragic, exemplified the extremes of courage and the cost of war. Each detail, the torpedo malfunction, the desperate maneuvers, the crew's heroics, remained etched in historical memory. Yet, beyond the technicalities, it is the human element that continues to captivate. What was it like to be trapped beneath the waves, knowing a single mistake could end your life? How did sailors maintain composure as steel walls groaned under immense pressure? How did Captain O'Kane inspire calm and action in men facing the abyss? These questions keep the Tang's story alive, inviting us to reflect on the limits of human courage and the bonds forged under extreme duress. Answer: the USS Tang is remembered not just as a submarine lost to history, but as a symbol of bravery, ingenuity, and the unpredictable nature of war. Its sinking is a stark reminder that even the most advanced machines cannot guarantee safety, that even the bravest men can face moments of unimaginable peril, and that the human spirit can endure even in the darkest depths. As we conclude this tale, let the memory of the Tang and its crew inspire awe and respect. From the depths of the Pacific to the hearts of those who study its history, the story of the Tang endures, a testament to courage, tragedy, and the indomitable human spirit. If you found this story gripping and want to uncover more tales of heroism, tragedy, and history, make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share with your friends, and turn on notifications for more incredible stories from the past. Every story has lessons, every hero has a legacy, and every adventure awaits you, beneath the waves and beyond imagination. Among the most compelling aspects of the Tang's story was the unbreakable bond formed between the crew members. Months of preparation, shared danger, and the ultimate test of life and death created relationships that were unshakable. Even in captivity, these bonds offered strength. Sailors reminded each other of their roles, passed messages of hope, and found ways, however small, to maintain dignity amidst suffering. The submarine had been more than a vessel. It had been a floating community, a fragile world governed by discipline and trust. Its loss was a wound, yet the human connections forged aboard were enduring. Eventually, the survivors were liberated, bringing closure to a harrowing chapter. They returned home not as the same men who had left but as individuals marked by extraordinary experiences. The horrors of war, the claustrophobia of a sinking submarine, and the brutality of POW camps left scars, but they also left stories of heroism that demanded to be remembered. The USS Tang's tale became a part of naval history, a reminder of both human ingenuity and the unpredictable nature of fate.